Welcome to my digital exhibit presentation. I used WordPress.com. My subject is renewable energy resources, and I came at this from this perspective that I was going to do this for the library I work at, which is Indian Hills Community College. So just keep that in mind as I go through here. My goals for this exhibit was to increase library usage. And my hopes is when they go to see this exhibit that they would then decide they want to use the library, and then when they're in the library, hopefully they check something out, so then the usage, the circulation would also go up. And another goal of mine was to improve the library's digital presence. So we've had a little bit of problems in the past with this because the guy who's supposed to maintain that's not very creative or tech savvy, so therefore hopefully this would help with that certain area that we lack in. So why did I use WordPress.com? Because I wanted to see if it was a good option to use that we could use for our library, and I also wanted to see what it'd be like if I could use it in my professional life at all. So next I'm going to take you through me going through the actual website I created and going through the digital exhibit. This is my digital exhibit. At the very top there you can see my thesis statement. Just basically I just say forms of renewable energy that can combat global warming and make Earth a cleaner place to live. And then the paragraph below I go through just an introduction just to give you a summary. Essentially that it's up to us, that we only have one Earth, we need to save it, and we need to do whatever we can to help with that. And then that is when my gallery comes into play, because that way it shows you all the different renewable energy sources that we could adopt. So to start off here, as you can see, I got an image, I got the book where I pulled it from, and then of course then I've got a little blurb about what it is. To start off here, hydroelectric power, this is water. Essentially how this works is we create a dam that has turbines in it, and then when the water flows through the turbines, it spins the fans that are inside the turbines, and then that creates electricity. Then that electricity is then transported to a generator or storage place of some sort, so that way we can use it when we need it. Wind power works exactly the same way, except it's wind instead of water. The windmill blades spin, that creates electricity, then that electricity is then sent and stored somewhere to be used. Solar panels are a little bit more complicated. The simplified version is they're made up of these little cells called photovoltaic cells, I believe is how it's pronounced. And essentially what it does is it takes the sunlight and converts that into energy through having essentially inside the panels the electrons move or get excited is the word that they use, and then that causes power to be generated. Biomass, this is probably the most common energy source in the world. This is the burning of wood or vegetation. Here in the United States, it's mostly, we just use it firewood as an example. Biofuels is another big one. It's basically using nature as an energy source, but nature will replenish itself, so technically it never runs out. Geothermal is using the Earth's using the energy in the Earth itself as a source. So as I found a really good illustration from a book of how it works. Essentially, you put a bunch of pipes under the ground that are filled with Freon, and in the wintertime, when those pipes are in the ground's warmer, so therefore you can pump that warm air into the house, and then in the summertime you'd run it in reverse. You can take the heat from the house and put it into the ground. So it's kind of a cool system of how that works. There's my reference section. Essentially I just took all the image sources and put them into an easy to read list. One thing to note that these are not all of our environmental books. This is just a snapshot, so we got more than this, but it just gives you an idea of what we have. We do have some online resources too. All the links do work, but to make this go faster, I decided just to go ahead and open them all up. So like here's a library database one. This happens to be EBSCO. You click on the link, it takes you to this page. Another interesting was the one I found from NASA. I thought it was pretty neat. It's got a global map of global, like what the how the Earth has been heating up in the years. So I thought that was pretty neat. I really like this website if you get a chance to look at it. I also put in an About Me section, kind of give you a background of who I am. Most of you know who I am, so I don't really need to go through that. I did do a WordPress for another class that I kind of strung together. I did put some more information about me in there, so if you wanted to click on that, you could. The biggest thing I want to do is the IHCC library, because this relates well to my presentation. So this is our library homepage. If I was doing this exhibit in real life, like as a real thing, I would either put a link underneath additional resources right there for people to click on that would take you to the exhibit, or I think a better option would just put the exhibit right in here someplace. So that'd be kind of neat to see how that would work. One thing to note though, if we was to do that, we'd have to have marketing do it because they have the administrative rights over the web page. We can't do anything. We have to tell them like what changes we want, and then they put it in here. So that's something to keep track of too. And then I put just a thank you at the bottom for taking time to view this exhibit. Now I'm going to transition back to the PowerPoint and talk about benefits. So some benefits to using WordPress. It's very easy to input images and text into the design boxes once you get them all set up on the web page itself. They also give you templates to use, which is what I used in mine. I didn't show this in the screen recording, but there is an amazing dashboard feature that you can use, so keep that in mind. I mean, it gives you analytics. You can choose if you want certain people to be able to edit your page with you. There's just a lot of different settings that you can go through. And it's also easy to share links and add links to the page too. Some drawbacks. The design features can be tricky in our learning curve. I think I've got them down now, but when I first started doing it, it was so confusing. But I think I understand what I'm doing now. And one thing I did say is I did use the template to start with, but I had to do some tweaking to it and get it to line up the way I wanted it to. So that took some experimentation for sure. And also another drawback too, that there's a lot of features that are lacking in the free version, which is what I use. Like you can't customize your URL, so that's the reason why the URL looks so funny. That does add the ads. It automatically does it on your page. You can't control that. Storage is kind of an important thing to talk about in regards to this assignment, because if you were going to do a big exhibit, you'd be very limited on how big it could be, because I think they only give you 3 gigabytes. So you're very limited on how much room you could have, which I think question number 4 on the assignment details talks about that. It works good for the small exhibit, but if you're doing a big one, it wouldn't work hardly at all. Plugins is another option. You don't get calendars, forms on the free version. And all around, you get more functions with the paid version. So that is kind of what I decided about the WordPress.com. Any feedback or questions? And I just wanted to conclude also that I appreciate every one of you. It's been a fun year. For those of us who are graduating, we're almost there. We're almost there, and I wish everybody good luck in their future endeavors. And hey, I may even see you in the future at a library conference of some sort.